should have a lot more. Dibbly deeps, dibbly deeps, deeps, dibbly dibbly deeps, dibbly deep deeps. You were saying? You better not have multiple forms. Because that's just obnoxious. Oh boy. Damn it. Stop moving and just attack, please. Yeesh. Slap, slap, slap. Aw, auto give to Skelly. skeletons. Holy shit, that hurt. And victory is mine. Woo!
Sanctuary was meant as an escape from the eternal conflict. And yet, here we are, again. I gave you free will, and you've squandered it, wasting it on a crusade you don't understand. You chose tyranny when offered freedom. A poor legacy for my gift. Without me, you would have no victory. And its cost will be more than you can pay.
Is that my first actual real legendary, whatever they're actually called now? Adventurer's Helm of the Embalmer. Consuming a corpse has a 23% chance to spot a blood orb. It's alright. It's decent. Not terrible, but alright. Mother's Embrace. Unique ring. Fire resist, shadow resist, +7 to stats, lucky hit chance, critical strike damage. Overpowered damage. If a core skill hits 5 or more enemies, 30% of the resource cost is refunded. Meh, kind of crappy. Oops.
It is done. Lilith is no more.
Was she trapped in the stone?
No. Mephisto is. He helped us reach the Cathedral of Hatred before Lilith
Of course. He had a hand in all of this from the beginning, didn't he?
did. We had to take the risk.
No. I understand. Where is the stone?
Nerel. She didn't come back
No.
to you. She must have already gone ahead to the desert chapel.
We'll go after her. Quickly. I need to bring Donan and seal the gates of hell behind us. I will only slow you down.
You can't do this on your own, my friend. We came together, we leave together too.
Now, we are truly alone. The creators of Sanctuary, Angel and Demon, Father and Mother, are dead. They made us in their image. Their conflict is a part of us. It always will be. But is there any truth to Lilith's vision? This mad idea that we can escape the eternal conflict? These are not questions befitting an old man. I don't have much time left. This struggle is not mine anymore. Or will we walk the same path of all children who rebel against their parents? So often we simply become them. All I can do is help the Wanderer and Neyrel avoid the fate of Rathma. And everyone else who tried and failed to overcome our flawed nature. Once we are back with Neyrel, we will find a way. We have to.
That's pretty good. I just sort of don't understand how there's the evils, Prime and Lesser, who are basically immortal, eternals, and yet there's no equivalent on the angel side. There's no eternal celestials. Complete Act 6. Oh, challenge reward unlocked. Sure. Maximum life, thorns, and physical damage. It's got a lot of armor in it. I am gonna need to upgrade at some point.
Rest, girl, while you can. We'll be on the move again soon. She's gone. Why didn't you wait for us? No. It will take time for the corruption to spread from the stone. She must have left for a reason. Yes. Yes, that must be right. Yorin, Donan. We've lost so many to hatred. We can't lose Neyrel too. Come on. Will this never end?
Yusuf, what do you want?
Step aside. I'm here for the Haradrim.
Can it wait? I'm off to bury a friend.
We'll dig his grave for you.
Well, that's kind. But who will dig yours?
Kill the heretic!
The Haradrim have used their dark magics to bear a great evil into our world. Commit their wicked souls to the Father, and retrieve the Soul Stone.
Great.
Yusuf. He saved my life in Nevesk. They were not our enemies.
They were fools. I don't have the time for it. I am going to Scotsglen. Donan deserves to be buried with his son.
I thought the dead deserve nothing, while the living are in danger.
Wise words. But I have a promise to keep. That's why you must ride north, ahead of me. If the cathedral doesn't have her yet, Neyrelle might head for the vault. Find her. Once you're together, meet me at Donan's estate.
Wonder is there? It's probably under options. Should be right here though. It's kind of annoying that it doesn't tell you what your maximum amount is for those. 8% attack speed versus 6.5.
You can take what's left.
I know what I saw. She had horns like a beast, strode right past where you stand.
That's weird.
A path of scales. This is what I saw in the reflections. We're close. I can save you from this, Mother. I promise. I can learn how to...
Oh, yeah.
You're going to leave me. Not what I expected. But let's not give up hope. I thought you'd know me better by now. I am my mother's daughter. Where there's a lead, there's a way. And I'll follow it to the end.
No sign of her. But that letter wasn't here before. She must have left it.
Wow. Heavy bourbon. Probably go Dex, Intelligence, Glyph. Good thing I got teleportals. Having to ride all over the place would be a pain in the ass.
Why do I only hear one set of footsteps?
I do like the in-game rendered ones.
I spent a lot of time learning this code, so I hope you remember how to read it, Lorath. Because you are the last Horadrim now. My mother would have wanted me to stay with you. She believed the Horadrim had all the answers. I don't know if she'd recognize this person I'm becoming. It's hard for me to think about her right now. But then I remember you and Donan. You weren't all-knowing Horadrim. You were bitter. You were uncertain. But you were always true friends.
Oh boy.
That's what I hold on to. Because there is so much further to go. Your imperfection gave me hope. And we will need it to face what comes next. To face him and his brothers. I don't know how much time I have. But there has to be a better answer. And I have to find it. Alone. I know you'll want to go with me. But people have already died because I was not careful enough. I can't risk you too.
She's becoming the Dark Wanderer.
If I've misjudged, the world is going to need you to survive. And clean up the mistakes I leave behind. I know you don't want to hear this. But you don't get to quit. Not again. Wish me well, Lorath. Because if everything works out as I am hoping, we will never see each other again.
Huh. There's still so much about the mechanics of how the world works that really take away from the story. For the first couple of games, not knowing that stuff was cool, but now that, you know, hey, the primevals just keep showing up, it's like, well, we need to know the reason why. Otherwise, is this how the world Sanctuary has always been? Is this the eternal conflict that it's always, you know, on the brink of destruction because the prime evils just keep almost taking it over constantly? I mean, it's kind of like Marvel and DC Comics kind of shit when you think about it. The whole, you know, and not just comics, but any comic-related thing, any sort of monster of the week sort of storyline where it's like, hey, I'm saving the world every, you know, couple of weeks or whatever. It's like, okay, well, if you're doing that and all these other people are doing that, then literally the world is just one day away from absolute destruction all the time if any one of these multiple people don't save it all the time. And I sort of wonder if that's kind of the story of Sanctuary is. Like, yeah, maybe not everybody knows about it, but there's war and death all the time because without special people stepping up and interfering, hell would conquer Sanctuary rather often. And if they start perpetuating that kind of story, then it's kind of, I don't know, it sort of feels like it'll get dull real fast because it's just literally treading the same waters over and over again, and it trivializes every game that's come before it. Because then it's like, oh, it doesn't matter that the Nephilim saved the world because, you know, the Chosen saved them before that, and the Dark Wanderer saved it before that, and the Wanderer in this one saves it, and the next one some other random person will save the world. And so all the minutia of how they go about that doesn't matter because it's a story that repeats itself over and over again in short cycles. I think that's the biggest problem. I really think this game would have been a lot better if set farther in the future. You know, if they change their world dramatically and then just go, hey, this is 300 years later and the rumblings of hell are starting to pop up again, that sort of stuff. Just constantly repeating the past in such short order is kind of ridiculous. But maybe you could also flip that around and you could say, hey, this pattern has repeated since the creation of Sanctuary and will continue forever. And the only thing that does matter is the minutia of the fight. You know, the heroes that rise up, the people they save, the people that help them, and the sacrifices they make along the way. Focus less on the grand scheme of how to stop the Great War and focus more on the journey of how these people get there. Because this game almost had more NPCs in it than any of the previous games. At least close-knit, you know, main story characters. And I think that's a good step forward if you're just trying to tell more personal stories. Like, a good step for the next game might be to really dive into the RPG aspect and allow people to, like, select backgrounds and stuff. To really flesh out their character and how the rest of the world reacts to them. Make it a lot more of a living reactionary world. Since this one, they stepped up and said, hey, we're making a sort of open world-ish kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, next game, step it up and make it far more RPG-ish. Like, a lot more Western RPG-ish, I guess you would say. I do think it's very interesting that if this is indeed the complete end of the story and there's no other story beats that go on after this, even like side quests or anything, that Diablo doesn't show up in this game at all. Imagine the titular character who's the series is named after doesn't even show up in one of his own games. You know, I get that it's not really anybody's fault that it is this way, that the original game was just a cool idea that they did, and then it blossomed into a much bigger thing that's more about the world and less about just fighting the Diablo. Which is definitely a good thing. I also kind of think when you look at this as a single character's story, adventure, whatever, then you could, like, as much as I hate what Wizards of the Coast is doing, imagine if when they get their thing done, and maybe somebody else can do it better without being greedy pieces of shit, that, you know, their virtual tabletop will instead be a massive open world video game, basically, where you can create your own character and explore their entire world. And, you know, you pick up story beats, and that could lead you into these long, you know, adventures. And it's basically, you know, as a low-level character, you could wander around, and then you can kind of either choose to pick up small, singular adventures, or pick up a full campaign at some point. I think that'd be super interesting. I would, of course, far prefer Paizo to make something like that, because I do think Forgotten Realms is super bland, whereas Galarian is extremely interesting. But that's presuming someday they get an engine done that properly mimics actual play of the game. Because basically Neverwinter has sort of been a trial run of that for the last however fucking long that piece of shit's been out. Which is hilarious. That game could have been amazing, but the vision was too small, and I guess they ran out of money or ideas or something, because they did not get the foundation put into that game to make it what it could have been, which also would have been a money-making machine. Because they could have made all of the different classes 4E had and sold them to you. Like, because there was dozens of classes in 4E, and each class had subclasses, and you know, every time they finished one of those, they could have made a DLC for it and sold it. They could have done a lot with that, but they didn't. I kept waiting to get into that game after Dragonborn came out, because I'm like, all right, fine, I'll play this some with Dragonborn. And then it's like, oh, the DLC for Dragonborn is $100, and I'm like, fucking what? And it never came down in price that I know of before I stopped watching it after like a year and a half or 2 years. It's like, oh, you can only unlock them with this fucking big-ass DLC pack that came with all this other bullshit. And it's like, no, I just want to buy a la carte the ability to make a Dragonborn character. It's like, nope, I'm gonna buy this big pack that has all these legendary items and all this other resources and bullshit, and so it's $100 pack. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I do sort of wonder what sort of mechanics you could do for like playing a 20 level AP in like a living world VTT kind of environment. Where it's like, okay, do you dedicate this character to this group so you can only play when all of you are online? Or do you make it more of a video game-esque kind of thing where you just group up with random people whenever they're available? It'd basically be the difference between selecting to only play with your home group or play more of, you know, the social stuff that's like Adventures League and Pathfinder Society kind of stuff, where you just go to a meeting and play with random people. So it sucks so bad about the way that Wizards of the Coast is going about that, because the product they're making is something I really, really want, but they're gonna do it in such dumb fucking ways that it's gonna suck. That's been my problem with video games for a while now. It's like all of these things these companies are doing, with, you know, live services and all these kind of things. It's like, I love these ideas, but they're only doing them as a way to expand their profits, not as ways to make interesting, fun games, which is frustrating as fuck. Because, like, I like the idea of games that just continuously get updated. Like, that's why I play Deep Rock Galactic a bunch, and I wish stuff like Risk of Rain 2 had more DLCs. I would have kept buying them and kept playing it. I love the idea of games constantly putting out new stuff. Because if you've got a really great foundation for a game, then you can just expand on it for quite a long time. I rather wonder if the TTRPG VTT video game, whatever it's going to, that media is going to become, can really like revitalize old school MMO RPG heavy roleplay stuff. Because on a lot of the old, like, original MMOs, you would have RP servers where people would just play as their character and talk as their character. And even if you didn't go out adventuring and stuff, you would, you know, sit around talking in character and stuff. And that was fantastic. Most people don't really do that kind of stuff in video games nowadays. At least not much that I've seen. And one part of it is a lot of people are obnoxious because they don't take it seriously. Because it's not, there's no environment for it in a lot of things. There's no, like, you know, dedicated RP servers or anything. And so it would be interesting to just have a toggle to set your character in that sort of world as, you know, a heavy RP character, and you only get into groups with heavy RP people. So instead of just, you know, playing the video game VTT, you're playing your character all the time. That would be crazy fun. Except for I don't think whatever they make for an AI kind of DM sort of thing is never going to be able to properly, you know, react to players being players, both in character and out of character. But even still, as just a online sort of roleplay adventure hub, that would be super interesting. I would love something like that. That's the kind of stuff where I'm like, yes, I want to live long enough so that I can see, you know, these sort of things come into beings. Cool online RPG stuff, and maybe virtual reality online RPG stuff. I would much rather have, you know, places you can go and like do like LARP kind of stuff, because that's super cool too, but that doesn't really exist all that much. You know, just places where you can go and role play as a character. I think role play and role acting sort of stuff is a great thing that a lot of people could get a lot out of. because some of it's putting yourself in another person's shoes and reacting to things differently and putting yourself into situations you wouldn't normally be in. As long as you're taking it seriously, I think a lot of that stuff would be good for a lot of people. Like, I know there's this giant convention thing in Germany, I think it is, where they have like 300 plus people every year show up to this like week-long event. And it's like, that's super interesting. And I can't help but think that it would be... I know it's probably only available in like California and stuff right now, or maybe in Florida too, that there's like virtual reality game station kind of things where they have large rooms that have obstacle courses or whatever, not really obstacle courses, but mazes in them, areas set up where you put on virtual reality helmets, and it's basically like, you go through this experience where, you see enemies and you shoot them and you adventure and all that kind of stuff. And that's super cool, except for it's extremely restrictive being VR, because you have to have these small mediocre rooms with lots of technology and stuff. And I can't help that now that altered reality is starting to be pushed more instead of just VR, like, it would be amazing to have like altered reality game places where you just put on a little headset and then it allows you to see the game world within the real world. And, people have like a field or whatever, and you can go out adventuring in it. And all you need is like a server with and set up Wi-Fi buoys here and there to keep all the headsets connected. I just think that kind of stuff would be super interesting, having LARP kind of stuff like that. There's a lot of cool technology that's being developed right now that could be super fun. It's just too bad we also have a lot of technology that's being created right now that can be abused by shitbags. Because I'm sure a lot of people just play this for the loot finding, kill stuff, make numbers go bigger kind of thing. But I think a lot of RPG stuff is good for people. Oh boy. I didn't make note of when this started. Keep track of how long it is. I do hope that the end game stuff, the harder difficulties, the nightmare dungeons, and whatever mechanics they have to get to those things is interesting and varied enough to keep interest in the game. Because Diablo 3's adventure mode was alright. It was cool. They didn't add enough variety in all of it, and it gradually just became, just do the rifts. Higher rifts is all it was about. And I'm like, I'd rather have, instead of just, because like rifts were just time attack bullshit, right? It's just like, kill enemies fast enough to get to a boss and defeat the boss. Like, I would rather have a lot more objective based stuff which I think some of these open world public quest kind of stuff is decent for, but I really hope they add a lot more and make them more interesting, especially for the end game stuff, because most of the ones I've done so far are pretty bland. Especially for like group event kind of stuff. Because if you go into like a nightmare dungeon or whatever, then it should be able to detect how many people you have, and that should determine like the range of what objective-based stuff you get. It could be cool if there was just things that are like, oh, when you have a full party of 4, then, you know, you get these complex things where everyone has to carry an objective and go in different ways and just all this different stuff. I really hope it doesn't just become, you know, group grind fest, time attack mode like Diablo 3 was. Because that just became super boring. Like they had to keep upping the rate and the ways that legendaries would drop because people get bored of doing the same shit over and over and over and over again. Especially when it's just kill all these things, move on. Which I think, you know, if it wasn't such a top-down game, that automatically would make it more interesting. Do a lot more stuff with it. But we will see soon enough. Hopefully. Although I do kind of wonder, if you were playing a TTRPG kind of game, like at what point do you go, hey, I'm done with this character, I finished the main adventure, I got to max level, I ended whatever adventure I was on, saved the world, or saved, you know, whoever. There would need to be some sort of like retirement mechanic where you get to choose based on your accomplishments and your renown in different areas, like where you can settle down and what you can do. Because it wouldn't surprise me if some people just want to play their max level character for quite a while. That's one of the complaints right now for like APs for Paizo stuff, is that, you know, you hit level 20 and then towards the end of the adventure and like, you know, You get like a handful of fights at level 20 and then the adventure's done. Art Bully Productions. That's not a great name. Original Force. Passion Republic. Red Hot CG. These are all very foreign names, so they're probably just translated. Trace Studio? That's probably not what you want. Jesse Birch. Crap. All the main characters went by too fast. Couldn't read them. But it's nice that every class had 2 voice actors for it. That's pretty cool. And it didn't seem, at least off the top of my head, scanning it, that they had duplicates. I hate when they do duplicates for 2 reasons. One, because it's just weird for me having the same person voice multiple characters in a story. It's just a very weird thing for me. But also because I know that when companies do that, they don't pay those people extra, or at least not twice as much. They just be like, hey, we'll pay you an extra 10% to do twice the work instead of hiring somebody else. Yeah. It's weird that they have the full list of voiceover cast for all these other languages, but don't tell you what characters they're playing. So it kind of just makes it almost pointless for it to be there. But it's cool that they did this much voiceover work. Probably cost a lot of money. Probably why they're like, we need to have macro transactions to make billions of dollars, because we had to actually pay a couple people money to do voice work. Because voice actors are chronically underpaid. It's the kind of thing where you think about it as like, oh, most voice actors only get like a couple jobs a year probably, on average. So when they make like, you know, $1,000, $2,000 for a job, it's like, hey, that's a lot of money. It's like, sure. But unless you're, you know, Matt Mercer or Habercorn or one of these other guys that is, you know, gets 30 jobs a year, then, you know, that's not actual livable money for a job. Especially when companies are trying to fuck you over every way possible. And then you look at this and it's just like, they've got hundreds of voice actors on here. That is a lot of money. especially for some of those, you could probably do a cost study for it to determine how much money you're putting in paying these voice actors versus how much money that's going to make you in that area. Because, like, how many copies of this game are you going to sell in France? Because that needs to cover the amount of money you spent on French voice actors, and then hopefully, you know, 400% or 500% more than that. Which is why it makes more sense to just do things in English, Chinese, and maybe Korean. That's how you would get the most bang for your buck. Because you'd be able to hire the least amount of people for covering the most amount of sales. Harf Buzz. That's weird. Are we almost done? We're into copyright bullshit now. That must mean we're almost done, right? Ugh. Special thanks to Filthy Shitbag.